Jason, just to start where you and I left off, one way of looking at this tragedy, at this story, is that a 20-year-old man is no longer alive after getting pulled over. Period. Full stop. A death should not have been the result in this case.
Yeah, Brian, and that's why people are angry. And they're justifiably angry, and they're tired of excuses, and they're tired of excuses from the government, and they're tired of excuses from police, and they're tired of being told that this is something that can simply be fixed by training and discussions. And I want to take this out into a larger frame that I think people need to understand. It's not lost on me. It's not been lost on many of us that when we saw the insurrection at the Capitol, there's speculation, there have been analysis that upwards of 20% of the people who attacked the Capitol of this country were in law enforcement. We have problems in the attitudes and the belief systems all throughout law enforcement. And so when we see it at a micro level, when we see a simple traffic stop result in a 20-year-old being dead, when we saw Sandra Bland several years ago, a simple traffic stop, and somehow she ends up mysteriously dying in jail, there is a legitimate reason for people to be skeptical. And the answers that have been offered through the Obama administration, the Trump administration, the Biden administration haven't fixed these problems. And that's where I think we really need to focus. The time for discussions and recriminations and sadness and thoughts and prayers, we're beyond that. We need to start talking about real solutions. And what's been offered so far isn't changing anything.
Counselor, I'm going to do something very unfair and ask you to fast forward to what we believe will be the trial of this woman, a 26-year veteran of this police department. All of us have had family or friends come up to us in a lather that they can't find their glasses and will say, "You're wearing them. They're on your face." That is a brain hiccup. And that we're all allowed to have, that we're all allowed to do. This gets us into fatal territory. Here is a woman who knows better, who has trained on both devices, knows that in the hand to the eye, a 9mm is nothing like a taser, but it's why they are on opposing hips on the belt of a police officer. So, Counselor, how is the law likely to approach a woman after a brain hiccup that diminishes what she has done here, that has resulted in the fact that we got a 20-year-old who is no longer alive and with us?
Well, let's just talk about the broad overarching law of police immunity, because that is what is going to allow for her and for the department to call this an accidental shooting. It gives officers the benefit of the doubt when there is a question as to whether or not something was a mistake. That was the purpose of this police immunity that has gotten so strong and so entrenched that even when there's a clear violation, we still cannot convict police officers because the burden is so high. They are given the benefit of the doubt. In this case, the chief has already come out to say this appears to be an accidental shooting because he says she yelled taser. He believes that from what he's seeing, this is an accidental shooting. Police immunity is something that needs to be addressed. It's being addressed all over because it is what allows these police officers to be immune from prosecution when they've violated someone's constitutional rights.
Counselor, you lead me to the second question, though, which is there an argument to be made that the traffic stop was already too aggressive by half, too aggressive by 3/4, that for a misdemeanor warrant, and people, by the way, are walking around this country with misdemeanor warrants and felony warrants, for that matter, every day. For a misdemeanor warrant, they were going to have that aggressive a stance on a traffic stop. Can that be an aggravating and not mitigating factor?
Absolutely. They came out the car with force. The force level for the actual infraction was way disproportionate. It wasn't even close. So these are the things that will be looked at. And when you're seeing the video, you can see that for this type of infraction that they could have, even after they got his ID, they could have found him afterwards. They had his information. They could have gone to his home. To have this level of force where we're drawing lethal weapons is a problem. It definitely is disproportionate to what it was, the actual infraction was.
Jim Cavanaugh is still with us. Jim, as a veteran of law enforcement, how is change, cultural change, the kind that Jason Johnson and others are talking about tonight, how is that going to be received when folks at local departments, city departments go for training and learn, in effect, there's a new sheriff in town and we have got to change some of our procedures, including at a quote-unquote routine traffic stop?
Well, you got to have chiefs like Carmen Best. You got to have people that can open their minds instead of cement heads. And we do still have a lot of cement heads in policing. You got to listen to guys like Jason Johnson, who speaks from the heart and the brain. And he has a lot of intelligence around this. He has a lot of study around these topics. And he's crying out what needs to be done, and police have to listen. We got to break in police culture this belief that no one can get away. I mean, the chief knows I came up the same way. I had 36 years in law enforcement as a local officer and a federal agent. I mean, we didn't let people get away. Nobody got away. If we had to have a string of 100 police cars chasing down the street, you didn't get away. We were going to chase you. We broke that off years ago because car chases led to many deaths that were needless. But we haven't broken that in these small arrests. And taking this, the predicate stop on this, which you've discussed, Brian, and I'm so glad you brought that up, in a state where the global pandemic has affected a delay at the DMV. I mean, we had that in my state. They've had that there. You wouldn't pull over. When I was an officer, you wouldn't pull over a car if you knew that was going on. I would see people with no valid inspection sticker and say, your sticker's expired. You need to go get that fixed. I mean, if you know that's happening at the DMV, you can pull up to the guy at the red light and roll down the window and say, you better get a tag on that thing. Yes, sir, I will. Okay. There's a lot of ways to police a neighborhood. You got to respect the people. You can't, not respect the people. But even if the stop was allowed, and it legally, technically was, no registration or invalid registration, the tactics, I think, they should have brought the young man back to the rear of the car. And I do think, and I haven't heard anybody else talk about it, I think it doesn't relieve her of culpability, but her mistake was not, I don't think, in drawing the weapon unless she carried a taser on the side of her gun. Her mistake was she pulled the gun and then she wanted to transition. She should have holstered the gun and then drew the taser, and she didn't do that.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.